Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Endzone Analytics. And today we will be predicting the Week 7 slate. Let's get right into it. On Thursday night, we have the division matchup between the Pittsburgh Steelers and the Cincinnati Bengals. The Steelers had another strong showing last week against the Browns. Aaron Rodgers and his offense held their ground against the Browns' defense and had no turnovers. And that Steelers' defense looks like it's back, only allowing field goals. Now for the Bengals, they played surprisingly well against the Packers and held it close. Joe Flacco was definitely an improvement, having 2 touchdowns and over 200 yards. Also, that defense picked off Jordan Love, but let up on third down that meant the game, which lost them the game. Now, this game could be really good or really bad, but I have the Steelers taking it. Next, we have our Wembley game across the pond. We have the LA Rams taking on the Jacksonville Jaguars. The Rams had a surprising victory over the Ravens. Stafford played average, showing how much Puka Nacua really means to that offense. We still don't know how badly Puka is injured, but it will matter in this game. But the Rams defense is also there. They got 2 fumbles just off of Zay Flowers last week. Now for the Jaguars, they looked disappointing. Even though Trevor Lawrence still played great, it wasn't consistent. The score really didn't change much in the third or fourth quarter and ended out with the Jaguars not playing with motivation. I think the Jaguars do play well this week, though, and take it home. Next, we have our first 12 o'clock game with the Eagles taking on the Minnesota Vikings. The Eagles are falling. They have just lost 2 games straight. Nick Sirianni is losing the spark with his team. Him and his team need to get everything figured out, or else they will keep losing. Now for the Vikings, they're coming off a bye week, and the week before they won in a close one versus the Browns. J.J. McCarthy is supposed to come back this week, but remember, J.J. McCarthy is not the best. In the first few weeks, he was throwing a lot of interceptions. The winner of this game will depend on if the Eagles start to play the full four quarters and if J.J. McCarthy plays and plays well. But I will give the win to the Eagles. I think they'll start to get together this week, even though I've been saying that for the last 2 weeks. Now, we have the New England Patriots taking on the Tennessee Titans. The Patriots are looking like a playoff team with their lead QB, Drake May. The offense and defense is starting to click, and it shows. They are 4-2, number 1 in their division, above the Bills. Their defense is also racking up sacks and TFLs and becoming dominant once again. Now for the Titans, they are still not playing well with their rookie QB, Cam Ward. His receiving options are very limited now with the injury for Calvin Ridley. Also, the defense hasn't been doing much of anything, barely even creating turnovers. But the upside is that they finally fired Brian Callahan, their offensive coordinator, now gone, and their offensive coordinator will be their offensive coordinator now. I do not expect this game to be close, but Patriots win. Next up, we have a game nobody will be watching, except their fans. We have the Carolina Panthers taking on the New York Jets. The Panthers are looking better, especially against the close win against the Cowboys. The offense with Bryce Young is starting to become an actual fluent offense, and Bryce is saving his job. The defense is still having troubles, but the Cowboys' offense is pretty good. Now for the Jets. The Jets are officially the worst team in football, again. The offense is just out of sync. Justin Fields can't do anything when the pocket is closing around him every play, and when it's not, they are running the football. The O-line needs to figure out what they are going to do to protect Fields. But on the upside, the defense is looking pretty damn well. They only let 13 points be scored and held it to a close game. Got their first turnover of the season. I have the Panthers winning, though. Next, we have an interesting game with the Miami Dolphins taking on the Cleveland Browns. Miami in the game against the Chargers held it close for the whole game, but Tua did not play well, throwing 3 interceptions, making Devon carry the game with over 130 yards and 2 touchdowns. And the defense couldn't stop Justin Herbert and led to the loss. Now for the Browns, it's been 2 weeks. They should bench Dylan Gabriel for Sanders. Dylan Gabriel has not been finishing games or playing the best when it matters. But the Browns defense is. In this game, I think the Dolphins O line will lose them the game. Browns win. Now we have a divisional matchup between the Las Vegas Raiders and the Kansas City Chiefs. The Raiders finally won a game against the Titans, but it's the worst team in the league. And Geno Smith still turned the ball over. What a shocker. The defense swallowed up Cam Ward, but it's not surprising against the Titans O line. For the Kansas City Chiefs, they are looking good with all their receivers returning this week. Mahomes is finally looking good with his team. They just won against one of the best teams in football in the Lions. But everyone should agree the refs really helped them win that game. But I still have the Chiefs winning. Now we have the New Orleans Saints taking on the Chicago Bears. New Orleans Saints kept it close against the Patriots, but still ended up losing. Spencer Rattler is looking like the franchise quarterback. But the Saints are just a sloppy team. The defense isn't any better than the offense. The whole team is just waiting for that number one pick in the draft. Now for the Bears, they are still winning games with 3 wins straight. Caleb is looking like a whole new quarterback compared to last year. DeAndre Swift had his breakout game and saved his job. Also, their defense is amazing. They racked up a few more sacks and 3 turnovers against the dominant Commanders team. This team could win 7 games straight, and I have them winning 4 right now. Bears win. Next, we have a possible game of the week, with the Indianapolis Colts taking on the LA Chargers. The Colts, with Danny Dimes, keep winning and keep putting up 30-plus points a game. But don't forget how dominant Jonathan Taylor is. He has been running the game all the time and has been scoring like crazy. He is number 1 in rushing yards per carry, yards, and rushing touchdowns. They are currently number 1 in the AFC. Now for the Chargers, they have been struggling. Their defense let out 27 points from the Dolphins' offense last week. Justin Herbert is still looking good, but hasn't been playing like he was in the early games. He is looking like the if QB again. But I have this game being really close, but the Colts come out on top. Next, we have the New York Giants taking on the Denver Broncos. Jackson Dart is looking amazing. Him and the Giants upset the Eagles last week in a blowout. Their offense, even without Malik Neighbors, is dominant. And the defense is even better. They picked off Jalen Hurts and limited Saquon Barkley to under 60 yards. But they did have a hard time covering some receivers. Now for the Broncos, it was a snooze fest against the Jets. Bo Nix had lots of trouble against the Jets defense, and the Giants are just much different. But the Broncos defense is still number 1 and put up 9 sacks last week. This game is going to be very defensive, but I have the Broncos winning. Now we have a matchup between the Green Bay Packers and the Arizona Cardinals. The Packers almost lost to the Joe Flacco Bengals. Jordan Love on the first drive threw an interception. The defense played really well, besides that play where Jamar Chase caught that touchdown. Crazy play. But the Packers aren't looking so good after a tie and a close win against a bad team. Now for the Cardinals, they are uncertain if Kyler Murray will start on Sunday, which could mean the game. Jacoby Brissett did not play horrible, but they still lost. He had an easy interception right to the defense. And the defense really couldn't stop Daniel Jones and led it to lose the game. This game depends on who the starting quarterback is, but I have the Packers winning no matter what. Now we have another game of the week contender. We have the Washington Commanders taking on the Dallas Cowboys. The Commanders had a devastating loss to the Bears. Jaden Daniels and Bill had 3 turnovers. Daniels was outperformed by Caleb Williams. The defense didn't create any turnovers and let DeAndre Swift run all over them and let him set up a game-winning field goal. Now for the Cowboys, they just lost to the Carolina Panthers. They had Rico Dowdle get his revenge and got over 200 yards in his second week. That was really bad luck for the Cowboys. But CeeDee Lamb is supposed to come back this week, so that might mean the game. But either way, I have the Cowboys taking it home. Next, we have the Atlanta Falcons taking on the San Francisco 49ers. The Falcons took on the Bills and destroyed them on both sides of the ball. It's safe to say that Michael Penix is their QB going into the future. Bijan is getting better every week and is one of the best running backs in the NFL right now. Their offense is easily top 10 in the league. Now for the Niners, they are just being flooded with injuries. But somehow Christian McCaffrey is not injured. But besides that, even though they are rotating QBs, they are doing relatively well with a 4-2 record and number 1 in the division. But these injuries have still affected their ability to win games. So with that, I have the Falcons winning. Now for our Monday night game, we have the Tampa Bay Buccaneers taking on the Detroit Lions. The Bucs are ranked number 1 in the league, and I think that will not change. Baker Mayfield is looking like he is the MVP for the season, and everything is going great with them. And once they get Emeka Ibuka, Chris Godwin, and Mike Evans back, they will be looking for a Super Bowl title. Now for the Lions, they also have been looking for a Lombardi trophy. The team is also crazy offensively and has some frontrunners for awards. They have won 5 straight, but I think this game will end their streak. I think Jared Goff has a game where he throws 1 or even 2 interceptions and leads to the Bucs winning. I have the Bucs winning. Now for our last game, we have the Houston Texans taking on the Seattle Seahawks. The Texans have recently won 2 in a row, but against bad teams. CJ Stroud has not been playing well. But I think it is only because the teams they have played. Yet the defense is still one of the best in the league. I think they will need more defense for this game. And for the Seattle Seahawks, they have been amazing on both sides of the ball. JSN is the number 1 receiver in the NFL right now, and I think he will continue to be unless he gets injured. Let's hope not. I think the Seahawks will cruise through this game and get the win. I have the Seahawks taking the game. Well, everyone, that is it for today's video. Thank you for watching Endzone Analytics. This is Endzone Analytics, signing off.